When you started learning mathematics in school, you might recall these expressions here. Now you might remember them as SOHCAHTOA, which is how I learnt them in school, and for some these might bring really happy memories of solving certain geometry and Pythagorean problems. But for others, you might have been left wondering, why am I even doing this? And as a mathematician, something I hear a lot is, when am I ever going to use this in real life? And my motivation today is to answer that question and to tell you where these came from and why you should love them too. When learning mathematics, I find it really helpful to have some sort of application in mind. So let's set one up. Imagine mission control is tracking a spacecraft near Earth, and from the centre of the Earth, we know the direction it lies in. Let's say it makes an angle of 60 degrees from some reference horizontal line. Now immediately there are very useful questions that we might want to answer. If we know the distance from the centre of the Earth to the point, we might want to know, well, how far right is this spacecraft, or how far up is it in our orbit? Well, trigonometry helps us figure that out. This is where in school you'd probably recite the correct trigonometric expression and you'd find the answer, but we're not going to do that today. Not yet, anyway. We're going to look at why we would do this in the first place. Okay, so let's say we know all of the relevant information about this spacecraft. We have the angle with the horizontal, which is 60 degrees. We know the distance from the centre of the Earth, and we're going to use the International Space Station as a spacecraft example. So this means the distance from the centre of the Earth is 6,771 kilometres. Something that's worth noting is that I'm using the centre of the Earth as the reference point here, but you could equally do this with the Earth's surface, for example. So calculate the distance from the Earth's surface to the spacecraft. We also know the horizontal distance, so the x-axis. This distance is 3,385.5, and we also know the distance in the vertical, the y-axis, and this has a value of 5,863.86. Let's label h for hypotenuse, O for opposite, and A for adjacent. We can use this because the triangle we have is a right-angled triangle. So O here is the side that is opposite the angle, A is the side that's adjacent to the angle, and H here is the hypotenuse. Well, if we take the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, we get this value here, 0.866, and so on. But the next question is, would this still be the same if the spacecraft was even further away from Earth, or maybe even closer? But we still kept a 60-degree angle with the horizontal. Let's increase the spacecraft even further into space by 1,000 kilometres, so we'd have that the hypotenuse is 7,771 kilometres. The opposite here would be a value of 6,729.88 kilometres, and the adjacent, also known as the horizontal here, would be a value of 3,885.5 kilometres. Now we can do the exact same calculation. Let's take the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, and this value here gives us the exact same value we had before, 0.866, and so on. Now, very beautifully, it turns out that no matter how much we change the hypotenuse value here, so the distance of the spacecraft from the centre of the Earth, this ratio between the hypotenuse and the opposite always remains at the same value of 0.866. and so on. That is, remember, only if we have the angle at 60 degrees with the horizontal here. But why is all of this important? Well, it means that if we don't know our opposite value, then we can easily calculate it. If we have our spacecraft at 800 kilometres from the centre of the Earth, how far in the vertical y direction is it? Well, we can use what we've just done to compute that value. We know for this triangle that has a 60-degree angle inside that the opposite divided by the hypotenuse is always 0.866. And if we rearrange for the opposite here, we find this value. The opposite equals 6,928 kilometres. Really nice. Okay, so we've done this for one angle, but what about others? Well, it turns out that we can take any angle that's between 0 and 90 degrees. For this case, remember that we have a right angle triangle here, so we can't break the laws of triangles. But if we take any angle, and we find the value for the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, that value will always be the same given the angle is the same no matter the distance from Earth. Let's try 25 degrees with the hypotenuse at 7,000 kilometers, the opposite at 2,958.33 kilometers, and the adjacent at 6,344.14 kilometers. If we calculate the opposite by hypotenuse, we have a value of 0.4226, and so on. And if we do this for any distance from the centre of the Earth, we would always get this value for opposite divided by hypotenuse, as we already saw for the 60-degree case. Okay, so let's plot these two values that we've already found on a graph. If we do the same for the remaining angles between 0 and 90 degrees, remember that's because we have a right angle triangle here, the graph looks like this. Does this look familiar to you? This is the first part of the sine graph, and so that's exactly where sine comes from. Hopefully this is all clicking to you now. So for sine 60, we computed the value 0.866, and if we input this into a calculator, that's exactly what we find. And if we do the same for sine 25, we get the value of 0.4226, which is what we just discovered. How amazing is that? So that's where sine comes from, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So if you've ever wondered where sine comes from, this is exactly it. Now we can do something similar for both cosine and tangent, where cosine, we would take the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, and for the tangent, we would take opposite divided by adjacent. And in doing so, we get this trigonometric table here. And notice how you can see sine 60 and sine 25 in here, like we already computed. If you're like me and like to understand where words come from in mathematics, or just generally, the word sine is derived indirectly from the Sanskrit word bowstring due to its visual similarity between the arc of a circle and its corresponding cord and bow with its string. I thought this was really cool. The word cosine derives from an abbreviation of the Latin complementi sinus, sine of the complementary angle, and for tan, this is because it represents the tangent line. You might have noticed that what we've done so far, we've had the spacecraft always lie in the first quadrant, so between an angle of 0 and 90 degrees. And that's no coincidence. It's like I mentioned, because we have a triangle that we've drawn, and that angle always has to be between 0 and 90 degrees. But what if we want to calculate measurements in other quadrants? Well, this naturally leads us on to how do we compute values like sine of minus 110, for example. Now, of course, if you're revising for your GCSEs or A-levels, you'll probably see questions like this crop up a lot. And with exams, the best way to grasp these concepts is by doing what we're doing now, but also practicing. And that's where platforms like Medley AI can really help. Medley AI is a platform where you can revise for your GCSEs and A-levels, or the equivalent, with the help of an AI tutor. So here I have this trigonometry question, similar to what we've done already, and if I'm stuck, I can ask Medley for some help, but it won't give me the answer straight away. It encourages me to try figure it out for myself, which I really like, similar to what a teacher might do in a classroom. Then, when you're finished with the question, Medley will use its AI marking tool, and it'll mark your problem for you, breaking down the different marks that you might have lost or gained during the exam. Now, if you are revising for your GCSEs or A-levels or equivalent, Medley are actually launching their free Medley Mocks, which is a set of completely free practice papers designed to help you prepare for your exams under real conditions. I've put the registration link in the description and pinned comment, so go check it out if you're revising for your GCSEs or A-levels. Now let's get back to the maths. Okay, so in real life, our spacecraft isn't just going to stay in one position, is it? It's going to orbit the Earth. So let's assume we have the ISS again, the International Space Station, and we have it orbiting the Earth in a perfectly circular orbit, for reasons we'll see in just a moment. This means that the radius of this circle from the centre of the Earth will always be 6,771 kilometres. So we can put our sine of 60 triangle on here, like we previously saw. But what if we wanted to calculate values for the point over here? Now, it's important to note that with this circle, we can always measure the angle from the horizontal across. So if I wanted to calculate sine of 120, it would be this point here. Well, this is just the same as our sine 60 triangle, just reflected on the y-axis. So our measurements would be exactly what we had before. The opposite would be 5,863.86 kilometres, and the adjacent here, noting the difference, would be a negative value. We're going negative in the x direction, so the adjacent here would be negative 3,385.5 kilometres, and that would be the position of our spacecraft in this axis. Now, the reason I introduced this circle wasn't just to talk about satellites orbiting the Earth. It was actually to illustrate the idea of our spacecraft being at some angle with the horizontal and us being able to retrieve its coordinates. Now imagine if we simplify this circle so that the distance is no longer 6,771 kilometres, but just the number 1, and we ignore units for now. Well, we can do exactly as we've done before, but with this new value for our horizontal and vertical distances. If we have the distance 1, this means the radius of this circle will be 1. So if we take an angle with sine 60, if it's on this unit circle, it will have the hypotenuse as 1. So the opposite would be 1 multiplied by sine 60, which is 0.66, and the adjacent would be 1 multiplied by cos 60, which would be 0.5. So this gives us the xy coordinate on this circle. And we can do the same for all other angles too, which is so cool. Now you might notice or recall from earlier that opposite relates to the sine function and adjacent relates to the cosine function. If we decide to plot out all of the values of y around this circle and put it on a graph, can you guess what plot this is going to draw out? Now it's important to note that y here, remember, it relates to the opposite of that triangle. So can you guess what we're going to see? It's the sine function. And we can do the same for all the values of x as well, recalling that the x-axis is the horizontal axis, and so in our example, it's the adjacent side. And so this plots out the cosine function. How beautiful. So if you're ever doing trigonometry and you wonder where sine, cosine and tangent come from, now you know. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and if you want to support the channel even further, then click join down below and you'll get access to some fun emojis as well as behind the scenes footage and member exclusive content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.